Another great game on tap. Rivalry matchup Saturday night. Number 5 Notre Dame, 9-1 overall, 7.5 point road favorites. Speaking of the key number, or a key number above a touchdown at 5-5 USC. Total of 51.5. The 95th meeting between these two rivals. Notre Dame's defense leads the country in EPA per play, top 5 in both success rate, 3rd specifically, and 5th in explosiveness allowed, just allowing on a points per game basis 11.6 points per game. And the offense for Notre Dame, 12th in EPA per play, averaging 6.7 yards per pass. But that rushing attack, 3rd in EPA per carry, and 5th in explosiveness. If you want to handicap a team that can dominate on the ground, not to say that Wisconsin can do that against Minnesota or will do that, but Notre Dame's rushing attack, much, much, much more explosive, not just comparatively speaking to Wisconsin, but nationally. How are you handicapping this game, Brad?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to what we looked at last week, actually, with Notre Dame, in that you're getting it north of the key figure, and I think that that's a setup to say, hey, it's more enticing to take the points with USC, but Notre Dame is just a better football team right now. You'll point out their quality of opponents, all that stuff, but the Irish have just been destroying teams. They made Army look pedestrian. They made Navy look pedestrian. Those are unbeaten teams going into those games. Their average point margin since week 4, nearly 30 points a game. And I kind of wonder, and it might not, but I kind of wonder if this at least goes into the betting market of, well, you're looking at Notre Dame's resume and saying they lost to NIU, so they can't be that good. And I kind of wonder if that is factoring into this line a little bit, because I just think Notre Dame is much, much better than USC at this point. Although I do have to point out that the Trojans are a lot better at home than they are away. They're 4-1 at home. They nearly beat Penn State in their only loss there in LA, and they're 1-4 on the road. They lost to Washington, Minnesota, and Maryland. I mean, I know that was cross country, but goodness gracious, what an ugly loss they have there. Jaden Maiava, the quarterback, he's been okay since taking over, but he has not played a defensive line or just a defense in general quite like Notre Dame so far. He's been pressured 23 times in his last 2 games, and he took almost 3.5 seconds on average to throw the football against UCLA. Guys, against Notre Dame, that's way too long. I don't care that they're banged up a little bit on defense. Howard Cross hopefully does play in this game here. They're missing their best linebacker, and defensive back, but I still think that they're going to be able to get pressure on Maiava. They're a lot better athletes than what Maiava has seen the past couple of games, and they may be able to get home on him. Like with Army, I think the hook is there to entice some USC bettors. I'm laying 7.5 with Notre Dame. We can argue till we're blue in the face about their resume. They're just a better football team here.
The one thing I want to play devil's advocate on, and it's a fair point about strength of schedule, maybe being baked in too much. Notre Dame, though, ranking 2nd in college football across FBS in turnover differential, plus 16 on the year. I always say, whether it's NFL or college football, and again, margin of victory may be a little tougher to consider turnover luck, just because widely known just in the betting market, and spreads indicate it, there are more blowouts in college football than there are in the NFL. And you mentioned the key number with that in mind here, Notre Dame being favored by over a touchdown with that hook. Turnovers aren't predictive, though. And I know Notre Dame has a really good defense, but you factor in the opponents they face. That's why I think strength of schedule matters in terms of turnover luck. And on the flip side, you mentioned USC playing better at home. D'Anton Lynn has turned around USC's defense to an extent. 27th in EPA per dropback allowed. I know Notre Dame relies on explosive rushing plays more than through the air, but what do you have to say to those 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, the turnover luck is definitely something you want to consider, and Jaden Maiava did a decent job, throwing the ball and taking care of it against UCLA. He had no turnover-worthy throws, but the one thing I do want to point out, too, that I think is the opposite side that's pushing back on turnover luck is that he had 3 turnover-worthy throws according to PFF against Nebraska, and only one of those ended up getting picked off. So I do look at the high turnover-worthy throw rate versus interceptions. Against Notre Dame, he's going to be pressured a lot more. The ball's going to be coming out of his hand quicker. He's inexperienced, and so some of these throws might be going at some Notre Dame defenders. Now, whether or not they're actually picked off does kind of atone to your turnover luck. I don't know. Yes, of course, if USC wins the turnover battle +3 in this game, then they're probably going to be a lot closer than not. But I just trust on average to Notre Dame will take care of the ball as well as USC, if not better. And if we're talking about a net even on these turnovers, which we can't predict, but a net 0 on that, I think Notre Dame still runs away with it.